Hello. The next few minutes we are going to look at a variety of options to explore professional development on the web and in the areas of educational technology. Obviously, people can't always take a class on technology and education, and it's important to keep up with at least a little bit about what's going on because it changes so often. So the following resources are some of Ben's and my favorites. The first we've talked about off and on throughout the class, and that's ISTE. Membership is not free, but it has some awesome benefits, and not the least of which is this Learning and Leading with Technology magazine. The Learning and Leading magazine, if you come in, you can see some of the articles that are here, comes out quarterly and, or well, bi-monthly, I guess, and it is an extremely concise, quality look at what's going on in the world of education and technology today. Membership also allows you to get into the members-only resources, which also allows members to make copies of past articles, without any additional cost if they're doing it for their building, for training, that kind of stuff. It's a great perk. The next resource might be a little bit of a surprise to people, and that's the 4kids.org site. The 4kids.org, if you get the Star Tribune, it also has highlights on the back of the Sunday paper in the cartoons section. And like I said, most of the time they're focused on the elementary type age, but here we're talking about Lewis and Clark, so you can learn about Lewis and Clark through the Library of Congress, fill up the canvas, and the website takes you to that place. We're not going to wait for it, but here we're talking about asteroids. Over on the far right hand side you'll see this back issues button, and you can see all the issues that were in the newspaper, and it can go back quite a ways. Some of the early ones, the links aren't any good anymore, but if you go back to July, for example, you can see we have Safe Kids, we have a game, we're talking about weather, and ancient Greece. So it's not necessarily a theme per se, but they're good resources, and most of the time aimed at elementary, but every once in a while I find a good middle school or high school resource here as well. That's again at 4kids.org or the back of the comics section of the Star Tribune paper. Oh, here's talks about the standards of the Lewis and Clark trip. The next resource is from A&E and A&E's Classroom, and they have a variety of teaching materials as well as what they send out, and this one you can sign up for to receive in the mail. It's the Idea Book. It talks about all the different contributors, the biography, the A&E History Channel, and it shows the different shows that are on the Idea Book. And let's see, for example, with the First Ladies. So it'll talk about the shows that are on, and it will give resources for them, lesson plans and ideas. Gives you a heads up across all the channels. It's a nice thing to know. You can share it across the content areas, and then they also have the web supports here. Alright, this next collection of resources is something I put together for a workshop last summer, and it has down the side there are 15 different, even more than that I guess, different professional development tools that are available on the web. The first one here is the ASCD webinars. The webinars are free. You can get professional development hours for them. You can sign up for them down below here a little bit. And the upcoming ones, for example, this one is Closing the Attitude Gap. And so they're 1-hour webinars. They're pretty good, especially for free. The next is a collection of materials, the Smart Brief. These come to your email box daily. Sometimes that can get to be a little overwhelming unless you give yourself permission to delete them from time to time. An example of the Smart Brief in EdTech, it goes across the internet, the Smart Brief does, and they gather information that's from all sorts of different news and magazine sources in the area of educational technology. So there's Information Week, the Fiscal Times, SmartBrief itself, weather.com, so a bunch of different resources that come together in one little snapshot of what's going on in ed tech. Similarly, SmartBrief does a snapshot look for education. And a lot of administrators sign up for this, so if you want to be aware of what your building administrators are, looking at these two things might be pretty good for that. And again, they go Reuters. This one's from Michigan. We've had the Star Tribune show up here once in a while. Let's see, the Fiscal Times. Sometimes they cross over. So this one looks at policies and technology. This technology one comes from the other SmartBrief, and budgets and school leadership. So these are good little snapshots of what's going on in education and in technology. They have quite a few other options. If you click Browse Topics, they have a bunch of different topics that you can receive SmartBriefs on if you want to. There's even more if you click there. So you can check that out. This next one, the Big Deal book, it's one of my absolute favorites. It comes out in the spring and in the fall, and there's a digital copy here, and it goes through grants and free programs and inexpensive programs and web tools and all sorts of different technology related things. I love looking at the grant opportunities and sharing them in a variety of topic areas with my colleagues. This particular website also has Web Wednesdays, and so once a week they'll talk about how to integrate the 21st century skills and themes. It's pretty slick. I can lose a lot of time here. It's good to know, like if you click on the Web Wednesdays here, they also have the recent ones, and then down a little further, usually they have the archives. Here's your archive search, so you can go back several years if you really felt like getting lost in this for a while. But you can subscribe to the Big Deal book. If you click on Big Deal, the ebooks are available too, if you'd like to read them digitally instead of getting them in the mail. I admit, I still like getting snail mail once in a while. The digital learning environments, this is another really nice resource for a bunch of different tools and articles. They combine many different types of materials dealing with education and technology. So yet another website one can lose oneself in. eSchool News, that's a K-20 collection of information. This also puts out a digital magazine / newspaper that you can apply for. If you click current issue eSchool News, it's a digital newspaper regarding all things education and technology. And you can read it online, or you can, I think you can still get a print version, but it can come to your email too. EdTech does send out a paper copy of the magazine if you would like to subscribe to it, or you can see it online. It's another good K-12. A lot of administrators focus on this one for educational technology insight. The school CIO is connected to Tech Learning, which is our next resource. They get a little bit full of ads, these two, but they can, if you sift through the information, have some good quality resources as well. Tech Learning has a nice regional conference that comes usually to Chicago in the spring, so if you can get some money from your school to go travel a little bit, it's worth a day. It's a one-day thing. The Journal is transforming education through technology. They have a few ads on their site, but you can also apply to get this in paper and paper in the mail, and you can have an issue archive here. So they go through Common Core, old magazines. It's another absolutely phenomenal place if you're interested in reading and keeping up. You can do topics and break down by what you're interested in. It's pretty slick. The Simple K-12 Teacher Learning Community is something that I found last summer, and it's a little bit on the basic side sometimes, but some of the resources are absolutely phenomenal. So I encourage you to check out their webinars, and under their shared resources, they have things about all different sorts of topics, so you can check and see if that's something that you're interested in. We'll talk about Twitter and blogs at school. We've talked about wikis before. The K-12 Online Conference is next. This is one of my most favorite things, period. It's an international conference that's been around since 2006, and each fall they release a series of web based videos that can be viewed anytime, any place. You can go through different colleges and universities and get professional development credits and graduate credits for attending if you put together lessons and things that relate to it, but you don't have to go anywhere. It's awesome. And they have this whole archive of all of the old resources too. So a lot of the things that I learned how to do, like RSS and working with blogs and whatever, I learned that here. And so here's Web 2 tools in a grade 1 classroom. So first grade, there's the overview. Here's a link to her presentation. It's a video you can see anytime. This was her web page at the time, her blog, other things she did. So links that support the presentation, whole 9 yards. I love the K-12 online conference. The last couple of things, Live Binders is like a digital 3-ring notebook. And if you click on, let's see, educational binders. So for example, if I wanted iPads in school, here are a ton of all things about iPads in schools. So you can click on those. I poke around here sometimes. I haven't done it for a while lately, but Live Binders for Education. I'll click there, and there are different ways to use it. You can do searches for, like if you click on featured binders, there's Constitution Day, that's tomorrow, Tuesday, all sorts of different things. So, or you can do a search for a binder. Let's say I wanted to search for free technology for teachers. And there are the live binders that deal with that. Internet safety. There's Richard's. Richard writes the free tech for teachers. So that's how you can quickly find. And if I scroll down, there's even more. So I'd click on one. And then here are the different things that this teacher has collected about the free technology. So that's one way to use live binders. Poke around with it a little bit. In the winter, we have the regional conference from TIES. They meet at the Hyatt, downtown Minneapolis. It's a multi-day workshop. You can attend 1 or 2 days, or if you want to do the big workshops, you can come in for a couple days before that. But it's a nice way to keep your head in the game. And all of these, as well as a few more, are available under our professional development page on Haiku. So we invite you to check them out, and hopefully you will find 1 or 2 ways that you choose to help yourself stay with your head in the game and your fingers in the pot of educational technology.